welcome back to my channel. I'm Zonia, and this is episode 3 of Hot Girl Hygiene. Today we're going to be talking about building a shower routine to help control your skin, whether you're worrying about odor, texture, body acne, tone, oily skin. During the summertime, your skin is so much more exposed, which can leave it to be more vulnerable, and it can make any imperfections in your skin much more apparent. This season is definitely time to be more intentional and structured in your routines and at a complete understanding with your skin. Now, as always in this video, if I do have any short form videos I go hand in hand with what I'm explaining, I can give you a better visual explanation. I will have my short form videos playing on screen. For all of my short form content, I am Zonia on every platform, and I do post daily, so go ahead and join the communities if you'd like to. But as I do always say, I'm not one for long intros, so let's get right into this video. Now, as always, I have my iPad with my list of everything for this video. So of course, there's a million things for you to desire to have control over in your skin and use products more specialized and catered to. But I did list out the most important things to control in your skin, that being odor, texture, body acne, tone, barrier integrity and strength, inflammation and redness, and hydration. And I do also have a lineup of soaps that will cater to pretty much any and everything that we discussed in this video. I have my Ivory Unfragranced Liquid Wash. I have a Dial's Gold Antibacterial Bar Soap. In here, I have 3 different Naturium soaps, and then my holy grail, the Dr. Bronner's Baby Unscented. I have the Naturium Glow Getter Oil Body Wash, the Naturium Perfector Salicylic Acid Body Wash, the Naturium Multi-Peptide Advanced Body Wash, and then of course the holy grail, Dr. Bronner's Baby Unscented. Then of course, as all of the videos in this series are kind of structured, I do have a number of sections. For this video, I have 7 different sections to go through. Section 1 being knowing the best soap for your skin. Section 2 being knowing how to layer your soaps. Section 3 being ingredients that work well together. Section 4 being ingredients to avoid mixing in your layering. Section 5 being knowing the proper frequency in using your soap. Section 6 being knowing the difference between daily maintenance and treatment. Section 7 being building your weekly schedule. Now, a few things in this video will go well in a few tips and factors in Hot Girl Hygiene episode 1. So if you haven't seen that yet, I would definitely advise watching that video after this one. If you have seen it, a few things mentioned in this video may tie together really well with that first video. But of course, there's a lot of things that I want to share in this video, so let's just go ahead and get right into section 1. So for section 1, we have knowing the best soap for your skin. When we're going into the summer, you definitely need to cater your routines to be a little bit more structured and just better developed for your skin in the summertime. That's for a multitude of reasons, but mostly because the new environment, weather, and just certain activities, the way that we dress, the intensity of sun, it all changes in that season. And along with that, it's important to know your skin and its reactions and tolerance so that you can really be in control when it comes to oil, sweat management, barrier protection, recovering from the sun or any sun damage, and resurfacing healthier skin. So for the first example, a soap that's gonna work in something of that sense would be this Naturium Salicylic Acid Wash. So this contains salicylic acid, which is a BHA. Salicylic acid works in your pores to kind of clear out your pores, keep them refined, and that is going to help in a number of ways. That can help if you have body acne, if you have excess oil in your skin, you have really oily skin, or just an overproduction of oil in your skin. This can also help with something like strawberry legs, since that appearance does come from clogged pores that are then oxidized. Using something like this can also even help in other ways, because since this is clearing out your pores, it does open room for other products and ingredients to sink into your skin much better, much more effectively. Then you also have soaps like the Naturium Multi-Peptide. Now this has ingredients for healthier skin. This is more so something for like daily maintenance. I wouldn't say this is like a daily maintenance soap. This is more so a treatment soap. But a soap like this, that's more so for maintenance in your skin and to be used daily. The ingredients in this soap are much better for your barrier, kind of keeping the skin barrier intact and healthy. It's really important to know the difference in soaps and knowing what each soap is meant for, whether it's meant for a treatment or something like super specific in the skin, or if it's meant for cleaning the skin, kind of getting that excess debris, that dirt, oil, and bacteria off of your skin. Since some soaps are designed for maintaining and cleaning your skin, while others are designed for like delivering actives into the skin and kind of pushing ingredients into the skin to work underneath the surface instead of just refining and polishing the surface of your skin. An example of this would be the Dr. Bronner's Baby Unscented or even the Ivory Unfragrance. These soaps are more clean, neutral, basic soaps. They're really just meant to cleanse the skin and kind of get all that dirt and bacteria off your skin, or even kind of like the loosened up dead skin cells. These are more for like daily maintenance and just for cleansing. When it comes to soaps like these from Naturium that have, well, this one doesn't have any actives, but like this soap, for example, that has actives, this is more so treatment oriented. It's kind of meant more to change the skin instead of just maintaining it. When it comes to knowing the right soap for your skin, it's also really important to know your skin sensitivity and tolerance, since some skin can tolerate using soaps that other can. And that doesn't only apply to being able to actually use a soap, but also the frequency in which you're using the soap. Some people can only use treatment soaps like once a week. Some can do the full like 2 to 3 times a week. Some people can't use treatment soaps at all just simply because of their skin. Either it's not built up for it yet, or it's just not prepared to take on those actives. Then there's more so like the controlled variables, the controlled soaps being, again, for example, the Dr. Bronner and the Ivory. These soaps are more so meant to be non-irritating. They're just there to do one job, and that's to clean your skin. They're not going to do anything else to change or impact your skin. These are more safe choices for any skin type or any time of day, any routine. And along with that, it's also important to know the best soaps or soap layering, you know, like shower routine to build based on how active you were that day. For example, days that you were like much more active, you were sweating more, you just may have a buildup of more bacteria or oil in your skin. An antibacterial soap like Dial may be best at really polishing your skin much better than like Ivory would do or Dr. Bronner would do. If you need to really clean and polish your skin, you don't need to reach for a multi-peptide soap to do that. You definitely would need a deep antibacterial soap, especially if you have oily skin or if you're fighting a body acne. There's also oil washes. These are better for days that you're really trying to bring some nourishment to the skin, kind of like restoring your moisture barrier. Maybe there was a day you were out in the sun a lot and you really want to bring some of that life back into your skin, kind of lock in your other moisture products in the shower. That's the day you would reach for this. For example, using maybe Ivory or the salicylic acid soap is not going to do that in the same way that this soap is literally designed to do. And choosing your best soap can also even be best soaps, like a rotation, or knowing what set days to use what soap or in what time of day. Like, for example, personally, the shower that I would take after the gym in the daytime doesn't really consist of the same products or layering as a shower that I would take in the evening to go to bed after my full day. Those are two very different things. The same as like a shower after a beach or pool day wouldn't be the same as a shower after I've been at home kind of sitting and resting all day. And I also have posted a video on knowing the proper shower soap for your specific skin concern or condition using drugstore soaps that are much more available and accessible. So definitely go ahead and check that out if you haven't yet, and if you'd like to have some guidance in that sense. Now that's everything for the first section. To bring us kind of into this video, let's go on to section 2 and talk about knowing how to layer your soaps in the shower. Now, the order in which you layer your soaps is going to change how efficient they are and how effective they are in your skin, because you don't want to use soaps that will kind of like cancel each other out or override each other, block each other, get in each other's way, cause a chemical reaction on your skin, or kind of work on your skin and then be washed away or off with another soap. Now, I've talked a few times about layering in the shower, and I feel like it's the most important now in the summertime. So the very first soap that you're always gonna go in with is a base cleanse. Nothing for treatment, nothing of a special ingredient or anything, just a pure, neutral, basic soap that is completely unfragranced. So not anything that has any scent or that really is there to do anything special. This is time to be using either something like Ivory, which this one is like an unfragranced sensitive skin liquid body wash, or what I think reigns above all else, the Dr. Bronner's Baby Unscented soap. Or even if you're limiting your kind of shower to 2 products and you're struggling with oily skin, body acne, you don't have dry skin, very important, something like a Dial bar soap. Also, of course, bar soaps do count into this. You can use the Ivory unfragranced bar soap. You can use Dr. Bronner's baby bar soap. I just don't like bar soaps. I'm more of like a liquid soap type person, so I don't have many bar soaps. Even this one, I'm not one to use Dial. This is not my soap, but I have it, so I'm gonna use it because I know this can work for a lot of people. But even to go on with this, I'm gonna use my own personal example on knowing the best soap for your skin. So I've always used Dr. Bronner's as my first soap, and when I first tried the Naturium multi-peptide, I wanted to experiment and see if that could replace this soap, only because of everything kind of in the description of this soap. So for the last like month and a half, I haven't used Dr. Bronner's. I just bought this bottle this weekend, and I was using Naturium for some time, and then following it with like my hydrating soap, which was the Ivory. I realized after some time it wasn't really cleaning my skin. It wasn't really giving me that deep cleanse that I was used to from Dr. Bronner's, but I still wanted to keep my experiment. So I instead moved my Ivory soap as my first cleanse, because in earlier times my Ivory soap was a really good first cleanse, and by earlier times I mean like the winter, kind of the spring a little bit. So I figured I would be safe using the Ivory. Now, yes, I was cleaning my skin. I was definitely getting a good cleanse, but as the weeks started going on and it was going into summer, I was outside more, sweating more in the heat. I realized that this soap can't really sustain that really fresh, neutral feeling in my skin as well as Dr. Bronner's. So now going into the summer, I'm right back to using this as my first base cleanse. Maybe for others the Ivory may work really well as your first layer of cleansing, but I just realized that with my skin personally in the summer, I need a really good, pure, like heavy duty deep cleanse for my first layer. And as you can see, I've experimented with other things, and I keep coming back to this soap because nothing really cleans me as well as this. That's what I mean by knowing the best first layer cleanse for your body. For you, that can maybe be like a Dove bar soap. That can be the Ivory soap, it can be Dr. Bronner's, it can be whatever soap works well for you, but your first layer always needs to be a really good deep cleanse to get all that excess oil, dirt, bacteria, just all that grime off the first layer of your skin to kind of clear the way and expose your fresh clean skin. Now your second layer is where you'll go ahead and add in your active, and of course this is if you use an active. If you don't use an active, you don't have to do this step. So also before, I wasn't using an active in my shower because it wasn't really much needed and my skin was fine without it. Now going into the summer, my skin is more exposed, I'm shaving more, I'm just needing this specific active to help me. So I had the choice between a salicylic acid soap and a glycolic acid soap. So glycolic acid is more so to help with surface level things, which can be texture in the skin or just surface level things. What I needed more so a helping hand on was things below the surface. So I needed a BHA. Salicylic acid is perfect. In the summer, I've been washing my hair more. That's more hair products running down my back in the shower. I'm shaving more frequently. That leaves a possibility more so for strawberry skin. Just certain little things that I think this would be a really good helping hand in. So I chose to use the salicylic acid wash. Now if you're along in the same thing, whether you're using a salicylic acid wash, a glycolic acid wash, a panoxyl, this can also apply to like vitamin C washes, retinol washes, any brightening washes. Anything with an active is going to be your second layer after you've cleansed your skin with the first layer. And just because that first layer cleanse preps your skin without stripping it, kind of leaving the pH really balanced so that when this soap comes in, your skin is neutral and it's not going to be super impacted or irritated or just any way brought about a bad reaction from the active. This can even apply with a multi-peptide soap. Before using the salicylic acid, I was using this as my second soap, and even still nowadays that I don't use the salicylic acid soap because the active soap is not meant to be used every day, I will go ahead instead with my multi-peptide wash, since this also has ingredients and just other agents that are going to work better on skin that's already prepped and open for a product to kind of seep and penetrate into the skin. When layering, it's also really important to keep in mind the density of your products. So your water-based products or active products that have ingredients or just a consistency that's meant to kind of sink into the skin, those will always go first. your thicker, nourishing, oil-based or oil-concentrated washes are always gonna go last, since those are left to kind of sit on the skin or leave a film over the skin. You don't want to use those first and kind of build a barrier to where your other washes can't seep through. And you also don't want to put your thinner, water-based or active products last to where they can't penetrate into the skin, because those really only work if they have the ability to penetrate into your skin. It's also really important to be strategic in layering and to not layer too many actives or too many really like developed or strong soaps, since doing that will really just lead to barrier damage, redness, flare-ups, inflammation, irritation, just things that you don't want in your skin and you don't really need. And lastly, when layering, it's really important to know how long these are supposed to sit on your skin. For example, soaps to cleanse, you kind of just rub them on your skin and get them in, get everything out, wash them off. Oil cleansers are always your last soap. You kind of put those on, let them sit for a second, rinse them off, and whatever's meant to stay will stay. Soaps like actives, whether they're salicylic acid soaps, glycolic acid soaps, retinol soaps, anything that's an active, those are meant to kind of sit on the skin for a second to kind of sink and do their treatment a little bit before you kind of go about the rest of your shower. So for example, with this soap, I'm going to concentrate this mostly on my back and the bottom half of my legs. So when I do put this on, I'm putting it on and letting it sit there for a second, not kind of just putting it on and instantly rinsing it off. That doesn't really give the soap time to sit and sink into your skin and kind of get to where it needs to be before you wash off the excess that's kind of left behind. So always keep in mind how long each soap needs to sit on your skin before you rinse off and go in with the next soap or get out of the shower. Now that's everything for this section. Let's go on to section 3 and talk about ingredients that work well together. Now with layering, it's also important to know ingredients that work well together and soaps that will kind of assist each other or help prep and then work further into the skin. For example, some soaps can bring water to the skin and then other soaps will kind of trap that water in. So the two soaps are doing two different jobs, but they're working for the same thing, and that's to pull and hold water in the skin. A great example of this would be like a soap that contains glycerin. So multi-peptide soap from Naturium contains glycerin and other hydrating ingredients. So this works to kind of bring hydration and water to the skin. Following this with an oil wash will kind of seal the skin. So this is the job to bring the water in. This is doing the job to hold this water into the skin so your skin can stay hydrated. It won't evaporate, and both of these worked hand in hand. That's a really good example of knowing how to work with ingredients that work well together and that assist each other. This can also work the same with this soap and Ivory per se. Ivory also contains glycerin if you don't want to use an oil wash, but you still want a soap that's hydrating and leaves a good film over the skin. Ivory is really good for doing that. It's like an oil wash without it being an oil. So the same way that would work, you put this first to kind of bring that water and that nourishment to the skin, and then you use the Ivory to kind of seal it and hold it into the skin while leaving that water hydration trapped inside, so it's not really having an opportunity to leave or escape. This is also important when dealing with something like acne, where you want to treat the pores and you want to treat those areas, but you want to keep the skin around the area healthy and strong. So this would apply, for example, let's say you were to use the Dio antibacterial bar soap to cleanse the skin and eat up any bacteria that's causing odor in your skin, or you want to use salicylic acid wash to kind of clean out your pores and help with like strawberry legs or body acne. You can do that. These will work in doing that, but with these being ingredients that kind of eat up all that excess oil, clear out your pores, they kind of do that in a way that dries out the skin. After you use those, the areas that you needed treated are definitely now benefited because they're cleared out, but that area is also dry, meaning the areas around your pores that are just skin, they didn't really need the treatment. Those areas are dry as well. They also got a bunch of that soap put onto them. So now it's time to go in with a soap like Ivory or this oil wash to kind of bring the hydration back to those areas to make sure that you're not left dry, because in a sense, depending on how oily your skin is, it would kind of cancel it out. Let's say you're dealing with body acne from having oily skin and you use salicylic acid soap or Dio soap on your skin to kind of regulate that excess oil and clear out the body acne. Those soaps will work great, but now your whole skin is dried out and your skin will recognize that and want to hydrate itself, so it'll overcompensate and kind of overproduce oil to do that, to kind of avoid feeling dehydrated, which would completely rule out the point of you having used those soaps in the first place. This even applies to exfoliation. After exfoliation, whether it's chemical or physical, it's also important to hydrate the skin after to kind of bring some nourishment and strength back into the skin. This could apply to, let's say, the salicylic acid soap, which is a chemical exfoliant in a soap. This will do its job, but it might strip the skin a little bit too much of that moisture, so you can go back in with something like the multi-peptide soap to bring those nourishing ingredients and that glycerin back into the body, which is exactly what I do in my routine. I follow my salicylic acid wash with the Naturium multi-peptide to kind of reinstate my skin, restore that barrier, bring some moisture and hydration back into my skin after using a chemical exfoliant. Now that was section 3 pertaining to knowing ingredients that work well together. Let's go into section 4 and talk about ingredients to avoid mixing when layering. Now in section 4, the same way it's important to know products that work well together and how to kind of layer products to assist each other and kind of work together for the better of your skin, it's also really important to know products or ingredients that you need to avoid mixing that can either override each other, cancel each other out, or just get into each other's way. Number 1, never use 2 chemical exfoliants in the same shower or 2 of the same. This can destroy your skin with acidity. Same thing with exfoliating chemically and physically, that'll also destroy your skin. What I mean by this, for example, I think this is common to happen, but don't use like 2 salicylic acid washes. But another example is don't use a salicylic acid soap for one thing and then follow with the glycolic acid soap for another thing. I understand that you definitely may need both soaps in your routine because they both fight different needs in your skin that you do actually genuinely need, but using them together is always going to be too much of like a high acid concentrated on your skin. Same thing with like using a salicylic acid soap with like a harsh chemical exfoliator, whether it's like exfoliating gloves or an African nut sponge, that you also want to avoid way too harsh and concentrated for the skin. It's also important to know different pHs in soaps. If you go in with a soap that's like really high in pH or really low and then follow up with the kind of exact opposite, they can either deactivate each other or kind of sting and burn on the skin. If you ever do absolutely need to, for some reason, use 2 different soaps that are like on complete opposite sides of the pH balance system, definitely make sure that the initial first soap is like completely thoroughly washed off, kind of gone off of the skin before you go in with the next one, to avoid that irritation and that stinging or burning. Even if in the moment you're like, oh, it just burns now, when I get out of the shower I'll be fine, it'll be gone, that burning and stinging will 9 times out of 10 leave like a rash, a mark, inflammation, a burn, or just something underneath the surface of your skin that'll come out after. You just want to avoid any sort of irritation or like irritation on your skin in general. Another thing that's really important when using active soaps, whether it's any form of active, is to not use like super fragrant soaps also in the same routine, because those are 2 different types of chemicals and it kind of comes down to the same thing. If you were to use, for example, a salicylic acid soap, glycolic acid soap, vitamin C soap, retinol soap, and then follow that with like a really fragrant like shower gel or really fragrance like body wash, that can also really irritate your skin. So when you are using any harsh or active soaps, always make sure that the rest of your routine has these more gentle, neutral soaps that are kind of like safe options that will do the rest of the job for you in the shower without leading to any irritation. I personally don't use any fragrance soaps at all in the shower. I don't really care to get any fragrance out of my shower routine. I worry about that once I'm out of the shower. In the shower, I like to be more clean and neutral in my skin, but if I were for any reason to have a fragrance soap in the shower, I would never use it on the same day that I'm using my salicylic acid soap. That's like a pure given. It's just too much of a chemical mixture going on at once on your skin. The same thing goes with like really like foaming soaps, because those soaps have lots of what are called surfactants, which is what makes that sud, makes those like big foamy kind of makes that really big foamy consistency out of the soap. Using one of those surfactants on its own can already strip your skin a little bit. So using two, mixing two of them together, or mixing one with like an active, can really strip your skin barrier a whole lot. And yes, it'll definitely leave you with like that squeaky clean feeling, but that squeaky clean feeling where you feel like almost rubbery is honestly a negative sign. It means your skin barrier has pretty much been damaged. You should never really feel like rubber. Same as like I mentioned earlier, like if you were to use the Dial antibacterial bar soap, which is a really good soap, definitely has really good antibacterial properties, but with it being so concentrated and such an antibacterial soap, it will kind of dry out your skin. You can definitely save your skin if you follow it with like a hydrating soap with glycerin, or that leaves a film of hydration, a shower oil, or like ivory. If you were to follow this with a soap like a salicylic acid wash or a glycolic acid wash or something else that is drying for the skin, you're completely going to like entirely dry your skin out really bad. And it's already gonna be kind of harsh enough on your skin once you're in the shower. Once you get off and there's no water running on your skin, now you're just stuck with like super tight dry skin. It'll definitely take a lot to recover from. Your moisture products after the shower might not even work at that point. And I do think I already mentioned this, but don't ever layer your actives in the shower. That's way too much concentration for your skin to take on. If you layer like a salicylic acid and a glycolic acid together, your skin it can't even absorb that much concentration on the skin. If they are able to do anything, the only thing that they'll be able to do is irritate your skin. That's it. Now that's all for this section. Let's go on to section 5 and talk about the proper frequency in using your soaps. Now, as I always love to say with skin, it's really important, really it's crucial to be very consistent with your routines and with your products, but it's also really important to not overuse anything. And even with consistency in those treatments, it's also important to not treat your skin every single day. There also needs to be times where your skin is kind of just resting, working on barrier repair, barrier support, kind of being to itself and not being forced to undergo some form of treatment or like chemical every single day. It also did just start raining outside, so I don't know if the camera is picking up how heavy this rain is. But so when it comes to active soaps, let's start first with like chemical exfoliant soaps, those being like your BHA washes, AHA washes. Those are only meant to be used the same as you would out of the shower 2 to 3 times a week maximum. You can definitely still be over exfoliating in the shower. When it comes to products that are more for acne control or even brightening, whether it's something like Dial bar soap or like a glycolic acid soap or a vitamin C soap, anything to really speed up cell turnover in your skin. It doesn't give your skin that time to heal and really kind of produce that new skin, since you're constantly trying to like force it to speed up that cell turnover. Those soaps also don't need to be used every single day. Those soaps that are being more so for treatment also don't need to be used every single day. For example, the only treatment that I'm doing on my skin right now is using that salicylic acid soap to kind of prevent any body acne and help with any potential strawberry legs. I used that, for example, yesterday on Monday. I won't be using that soap again until tomorrow, Wednesday. Then I'll use it on Friday and I won't use it again until next week on Monday. That's my limit. That's kind of like my controlled routine that I have for that soap, because there is no reason for me to be using that soap every single day. If anything, it'll probably even make the condition or concern, need that I'm trying to treat worse, or bring about other issues that I didn't even have before using it. Another thing to keep in mind when knowing the frequency and the routines to be using for a day is to remember how active you were that day, what environments was your skin in. Did you sweat a lot that day? Were you in like super harsh sun? Were you in a dirty environment? Were you wearing a lot of clothes? Were you wearing a little bit of clothes so your skin was more exposed? Those are all things to keep in mind so you can know the best soaps to use for that day. Like I mentioned earlier, day that you got a lot of sun, you want to bring that nourishment, kind of that life back into your skin. You need to really be heavily focused on moisturizing. Stay away from soaps that are drying. Don't use any Dial, don't use any salicylic acid soap. Use a soap to cleanse, a soap to leave a film of hydration, and then seal with like a shower oil. On a day that you were working out, you were outside, you were sweating all day, you were in really heavy clothes, being dirty, that's the day that you go in with like an antibacterial soap. You go with your salicylic acid soap to control that excess sweat excess oil, kind of refrain from producing any body acne. That's what I mean by keeping in mind the environment you were in and how active you were in your skin that day or at that time of day if you take like multiple showers a day. When it comes to frequency, you also may think that your skin can sustain using a certain soap like 3 times a week, or it can sustain using the soap every day. And you can be coming up with that idea based on other things that you see or what you're assuming, but it's really important to pay attention to your personal skin. Like if you ever start using a soap and you kind of feel any itchiness in your skin, stinging, your other products starting to irritate you, you have a lot of redness, you're probably using a soap too frequently. You're in the wrong order, but really mostly too frequently. If you ever feel really tight and your skin looks like shiny, but not in a good way, you're definitely like overusing your actives, you're drying your skin out too much, you definitely need more hydration, focus more on like recovering your skin. Maybe you don't need to treat it 3 times a week. Maybe you can treat it once a week or twice a week and use the other days to use more nourishing, hydrating soaps that are more so for like moisturizing your skin. And that leads us to section 6, which is knowing the difference between daily maintenance and treatment. Now let's talk about the difference between maintenance in your skin and treatment in your skin. Maintenance, think of it like as a more everyday defensive thing for your skin. If maintenance is like defensive, treatment is like offensive. I don't know too much about sports, don't quote me too much on that. So the first thing with this is to know which of your soaps are more for maintenance. For example, soaps like Ivory Sensitive Skin, Naturium Multi-Peptide, Dr. Bronner's. These are more so made for protecting and kind of feeding into, supplying kind of in a sense your skin barrier while they work in your skin. Then you have soaps like your salicylic acid wash, glycolic acid washes, vitamin C washes. Those are more so meant for treating your skin, kind of targeting specific issues, needs, or concerns in your skin while they're working in your skin, whether that be body acne, texture, clogged pores, roughness, dark spots, anything like that. They're more so meant to do like a more specific concentrated job in your skin, and this can definitely be good for kind of building like your daily and the weekly routines. But it's also important to kind of know and keep in mind how your skin feels before showering. So if you're about to shower, your skin feels like rough, bumpy, congested, that's the day you need to do some type of treatment in your skin. Kind of, yes, cleanse your skin, of course. That's the day to, if you're feeling bumpy, smoothen the skin. AHA, glycolic acid would work well. If your skin's feeling really tight, if your skin's feeling really congested, that's the day for like a BHA, salicylic acid to kind of go into your skin, kind of clear out your pores, clear out that congestion, kind of remove all that buildup. If your skin feels normal, smooth, you had a pretty calm day, you can really just go into the shower and not really think too much about treatment. That can be a day for maintenance. You can just use your regular normal soaps, kind of go in first to cleanse your skin, follow that with the Naturium Multi-Peptide to kind of bring some ingredients to kind of revive and bring some nourishment to your skin. Seal that with the Naturium shower oil to kind of seal everything and bring some shine to your skin. And yes, the routine I just said is the routine that I do on my days and I'm doing maintenance on my skin. That's literally my routine on normal days. On days that I have treatment, the only thing that changes is that I'll move the salicylic acid wash in between the first layer cleanse and the Naturium Multi-Peptide. That's it. But this way your routine will be more reactive to how your skin is feeling and kind of cater more to what your skin really needs and it's kind of missing or lacking in your skin. This is also why I say that this time, really all the time, but we're focusing on summer right now, that's why this is a time to be really like invested and intentional with your skin. Pay much more attention to your skin, kind of be more in tune with how your skin feels, looks, and what's going on with your skin. Now for the last section, we're going to talk about building your weekly routine. I think I'm going to share mine in that section just to give a good idea of how I go about using all these different types of soap. So while in the last section I was saying it is good to kind of go into a shower and sometimes base your routine about how you're feeling in the moment or before that shower, it's also really important to have a set schedule and regimen for your week so that there's some consistency and predictability set for your skin so that you're kind of avoiding any irritation and inflammation that can happen in your skin. This will give your weekly routine in the shower some framework, some bit of a structure that you can definitely play around with if you have to, and always work in treatment and maintenance in that point in time for your skin. So for example, while you can have a really set routine in the week for your shower, on the day that you just worked out, or you're outside in the sun all day, whether you're just out and about or you're at the pool, you're at the beach, wherever you were, you're gonna want to get home, and when you shower, go right into using ingredients that are really good for eating up that sweat, so it doesn't have time to sit on your skin, clog your pores, kind of create bacteria, which will then lead to body acne or odor. So that would be a time where you'll go into the shower already knowing you're going to use salicylic acid wash or an antibacterial soap. Like, your main objective there is to eat up all that excess sweat that you just built up on your skin before it has time to settle into your pores. On a day that you want to focus more on recovery and nourishment in the skin, this is a day that you won't really exfoliate or use any chemical exfoliants. You're instead going to focus on protecting and recovering your skin. Something like this multi-peptide wash can help bring those ingredients. You can follow that with an oil wash, seal everything in, bring that moisture and that life back into your skin. The soaps like this can focus on barrier health and firming the skin while also keeping it hydrated and not stripping it from anything. On a day that your skin feels tired or even irritated or inflamed, you want to stay away from active soaps or soaps with any chemical exfoliants. Go more towards like neutral clean soaps so that you can still cleanse your skin and get a good routine in the shower while still giving your skin time to rest and reset, avoiding any irritation. So personally, my routine on days that I'm not treating, I go in first with Dr. Bronner, I follow that with the Naturium multi-peptide soap, and then I seal everything together with the shower oil. On days that I'm shaving, I won't use all my soaps. I will just exfoliate before shaving, of course. After shaving, cleanse my skin with the soap, and then follow with something to hydrate my skin. Sometimes it'll be this, sometimes it'll be this soap, depending on how I'm feeling, and then seal it with my oil wash. On days that I am treating, I'll go in first with this to cleanse my skin, follow it with my treatment, of course, which right now is the salicylic acid wash. Then I'll go in with my multi-peptide wash to bring that nourishment, that health, that barrier strength, and support back into my skin, and then seal in all moisture with my shower oil and kind of leave that film of hydration over my skin, especially considering that I did just use something to kind of leave my pores more open, more exposed, more vulnerable. And in the sense of like a weekly routine, I do my treatment showers, which are really just the showers where I'm using my salicylic acid wash on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I pick those days, one, because it's 3 times out of the week, and 2, those are the days that I'm not using salicylic acid outside of the shower, so that I'm not stacking that salicylic acid in the shower with using again the same thing outside of the shower. So I'm using this on days that I'm not using it outside of the shower, and days that just limited to 3 times a week. That is a really good example of setting a set schedule for your weekly routine. Now girls, that is everything for this video. We have just gone through all the sections, and I think I did a really good job at breaking down how to build a shower routine to control your skin. The factors to really know, instead of me just telling you use this soap and that soap, these are tips to really help you be more intentional, more safe, and just more strategic when it comes to building your shower routines. If you do have any further questions or want continuation on this in any way, definitely let me know in the comments. Let me know all of your thoughts, how you feel about this video, and if I potentially am missing anything. I did mention earlier in the video that sections and factors in this video would tie really well with Hot Girl Hygiene episode 2, but as I was going through everything I was explaining, I was talking a lot about chemical exfoliants, and there's definitely things here that would tie really well to episode 2, which is physically versus chemically exfoliating. So honestly, if you haven't watched the first 2 episodes, you definitely may want to, especially moving forward, since the episodes are only going to get more developed and advanced from here going forward. So definitely go ahead and make sure that you're all caught up for the next episode to come out next week. But again, that is it for today's video. Definitely let me know how you feel about this video in the comments, or if you have any notes. And if you did enjoy this video and gain something out of it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. This was episode 3 of Hot Girl Hygiene. And definitely stay tuned for episode 4, which should be out next week. There is now 15 parts left in this series, and I will be uploading a new episode every week on Thursdays at 6 p.m. So definitely stay tuned. Subscribe if you don't want to miss anything and any other videos that I am posting. I also did just post a hygiene shopping and restock haul video earlier this week, so if you are interested in that, definitely go ahead and check that video out, as well as any other short form videos that I do post. I am Zonia on every single platform, and I am active every single day. But again, if you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one, and definitely stay tuned for Hot Girl Hygiene episode 4. Bye!